So if you take a look at the whole OSI model, what you'll see is that the packets work their way from something that we understand at the application layer, and they work their way through all the layers down to the bottom, and then they work their way across down the wire. As they're working their way across the wire, they're just offs and ons. Then when they get to the other computer works the model the opposite direction. In other words, it brings those in at the physical layer. Then it passes them back up. And it passes them up through each of the layers until they turn into something that we would recognize again. For example, if I was sending a file, it looks like a file when it's at the application layer, but it looks like something else as it goes through all the other layers. It goes through the wire as a bunch of offs and ons, a bunch of bits, zeros and ones. After it gets to the other side, it's eventually going to get turned into something that looks like a file again for somebody else to receive so that they can understand it again. But if we were to take a look at those packets at the same layer in the model on both sides of the communication, we would see that those packets are identical. In other words, they work their way down one side and they work their way up the other. If we were to draw a line between the level, for example, if we were to draw a line at transport level for the packets going down and then the packets coming back up, we would find that they're identical. So that means that if we draw a line at the top layer, at the application layer, it should look identical as well. And that's why it seems that way. That's why it seems like when we transfer a file that we get the file and we don't really understand that. We don't really see that it goes through all of that process. But that's exactly what happens. And that's how the OSI model works. So it's important to understand all of the different layers of the OSI model and how they all interrelate and what the OSI model is designed for. It's also important to understand what the different devices in a network can do. This is a Cisco class, so we're going to be talking about routers and switches. We're going to be talking about how to set up a local area network design and, in some cases, a wide area network design. So in our next chapter, we're going to discuss collision domains versus broadcast domains. That's next.